water. Then what do? Okay, we can make sure that goes with the person to the hospital. And make sure you put on the back. The time and when it happened. Okay, and the person's name. So, the guy that from to the other guy. Okay. So that's what you do. So with an avulsion, that's when the skin gets pulled off. It's still attached. What do? You gently put it back on. Put it back on. And the bleed you add use the body like that. How many of you have a blister? How many of you had a blister and you needed to do something and it just pissed you off that you can't do what you need to do?
Yes.
Okay. So how do you take care of this little gastric? Okay. Good. Is drinking fluid going to make that go away? Probably not. So how do you take care of this? How are they caused? What causes a blister?
Repeated rubbing of the skin.
Right. Continued friction. What you're doing is you're causing enough friction and heat to where the cells break underneath the skin and all that fluid from the cells leaks out, and that's the fluid inside the blister. Should you pop a blister?
No.
You really shouldn't, because this is a sterile environment. Okay? Now if you really, really need to, say it's on the bottom of your foot, you got a big game coming up, you need to pop it to get relief. Okay? What you do is you get a needle, and you heat it up to where it gets white hot. That sterilizes it. It kills anything on that needle. And you get a little alcohol wipe, you clean off all the soot. Okay? And then you poke a hole right at one end, not in the middle. Okay? You poke it close to where it meets the skin. And then you poke a hole on the other side and you drain it. But now guess what? It's now an open wound. So that's how you got to take care of it. You got to clean it still. You got to put gauze on it, cover it up, and then go do what you need to do. But you got to treat it like an open wound. You got to clean it up consistently, because this can still get infected, especially if it's on your feet.
Is that on the bottom?
That's on the heel, I believe, in the back of the heel, like where it rubs on your shoe. Okay. You usually see this like with women who wear high heels, because they're always in this position.
Yeah.
Okay, and it rubs constantly on that strap, and that's what causes it. Okay. Yeah. Okay, or on the balls of your feet, or on your toes, or sometimes on the tops of your toes. Okay. Already taught you that. So say if the blister, the skin pulls off, it's like now an avulsion. It would be best if you could put that skin back because it acts as its own barrier. But if it doesn't work, you got to just trim off that dead skin and again, treat it like an open wound. Penetrating injuries, that's a knife in someone's chest.
Of course. Great.
Okay, make sure you stabilize it. You put gauze around where the skin is open.
Is that hitting hard?
No, his heart's over here.
Oh, okay.
That's like hitting a
That's in his rib cage, but it is in his lung. Okay. Now, but understand when you have this type of a wound, so you have your trachea, then you have your lung. Okay. Your lungs are in a fluid-filled sac. Okay. Now, say you get some sort of injury. Okay. What happens is air now goes into that area where the sac is, and every time you breathe in, it fills up with air, and when you breathe out, that air stays there. Every time you breathe in, it fills up with more air.
You breathe.
And what it does is it collapses your lung.
So basically, what you do is just try to control breathing.
So what happens is your airway becomes deviated. So if you're looking at someone's neck, remember you're doing your head to toe assessment, and that trachea gets pulled off to the side, or it's turned sideways, that opposite lung is collapsing, and they can't breathe. We call it a pneumothorax. Pneumo is Greek for air or spirit, and thorax is your rib cage. So you're getting air inside your lungs. Well, in the lining of your lungs. That can kill you, and it can cause a lot of damage. But in this case, you're not taking the knife out. If you can get some tape, and you can wrap it around the knife handle and tape it down like this. And then you can do that on the other side, okay? And tape it down just to keep it from moving. But remember, any little motion in that handle is going to have an opposite motion on the blade on the inside of the tissue. So you don't want to move it as much as possible. And anytime you move them, it's going to be moving inside them. So keep them from moving.
And why wouldn't you take it out?
Because that blade, when it's inside the tissue, okay, say you have blood vessels running through here, and it severed a blood vessel. That knife is actually putting pressure against that blood vessel. Okay, and it's swelling, so it's putting pressure. As soon as you take that out, all of that blood is going to now start bleeding out, and it's going to be harder to control.
You're gonna bleed out.
Okay, so that's why you don't want to remove anything like that, any type of puncture wounds. Now, if it's your own body, it's your own body. You decide to do that, that's up to you, but typically don't want to do that. Do I need to really explain how to take out splinters?
No.
We know how to do that. We know how to do that. We know how to do that. Cactus spines. Maybe you got cactus needles stuck in you. Especially living here, it sucks. And it's not the big ones that are a pain in the ass. It's those little tiny hair-like ones that you can't see. They're invisible, right? You get one in your finger, you're like, I can't see it, but I feel it. How do you get those out? A neat little trick is you can use duct tape or anything like that. You put it on there, kind of rub it real quick to get the glue to stick. Let it dry for a little bit, and you rip it out, and it acts as like waxing for hair. It pulls out those needles. You can even use rubber cement. You get a little bit of rubber cement, you put it on there, you let it dry, it hardens, and it grips the little needles. You pull it out, and it comes off with the rubber cement. So it's like a little home treatment, okay? And tweezer salt too, especially the ones that have the little magnifying glass, so you can really see really, really small, okay? Fish hooks.
Oh no.
We live in a community, in a state, which has a lot of outdoorsmen, outdoorswomen, outdoor people, right? So what's the problem with fish hooks?
Nothing.
They had extra.
They have that little bastard barb,
And they won't let go.
okay? So that barb keeps the hook from coming out, okay? So how do you get those things out?
Treat them bad.
Good. So say you get a fish hook stuck in your finger or any skin, part of the skin. There's a couple ways you can do it. The best way is to keep pushing it through. Yes, it hurts, but you gotta get it out. Push it through, you nip off just above the barb, and you back it out. Or you can nip off this part of the hook, and you keep continually pulling it out. That's the best way. The alternative, which hurts a little more, causes a little more bleeding, you get a fishing line or some string, you put it around this part of the loop, okay? You hold it down, and you give it a quick tug. Ding! Okay, now, What do you think hurts more? Cutting off a dog's tail in one cut, or cutting it off piece by piece by piece?
By piece by
One
piece.
cut.
One cut's gonna hurt less, right?
Yeah.
So, same thing with the needle. If I'm a nurse and I'm giving you an injection, do you want me to put it in and then push it in again, push it in again, or push it in slow, or just make it one pop? One pop, right? So, if you give it a slow tug, it's gonna hurt. Or if you keep trying to do it and it's not fast enough, it's gonna hurt. You have to do it all in one quick motion. I'm gonna show you how to deal with this, or in examples.
Kind of like when you do waxing.
Yeah, or it's like when you rip off a Band-Aid, right?
Ah. Brutal. Dale. Ugh.
So that's in his lip. Someone else is starting to cast, and they get stuck on someone else. You see this on boats where two people are fishing on both sides of the boat. They do an overhead cast, and they get stuck on them. So if that is connected to the lure with like a keychain loop ring, so we're backing that out. Well, they didn't get it out there. What's the word?
Just taking the shot, protect your mouth, we're going.
So this is the push-through method.